Hi, and welcome to today's 4-minute mark. We are in Mark chapter 4 and verses 35 to 41. That day, when evening came, he said to his disciples, "Let us go over to the other side." Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along just as he was in the boat. There were also other boats with him. A furious squall came up, and the waves broke over the boat so that it was nearly swamped. Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him and said to him, "Jesus, Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" He got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." Then the wind died down, and it was completely calm. He said to his disciples, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" They were terrified and asked each other, "Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him." Jesus is out on a boat with the disciples. They're in the middle of a lake. A storm comes up. It says it's a furious squall, so that the boat is almost swamped because the waves are coming in over top of the boat. And Jesus is asleep. He's not bailing out the boat. He's asleep. Is this just because Jesus is a strong sleeper that it's hard to wake him up? No. It's because Jesus has strong faith in God. Jesus knows that God will be with him, will protect him. Jesus knows that it is not his time to die. He knows that he came to actually offer himself as a sacrifice on the cross, and that's when he's going to die. So he has complete faith in God, so he can sleep in the middle of a storm. Now, we, of course, are in the middle of a pandemic. And how many of you are having trouble sleeping sometimes because of this? Worried about your health, the health of those you love, worried perhaps about your business, worried about the economy, worried about what the future is going to hold. Maybe you have vacation plans this summer, and are we going to be able to do that? Maybe these things are going over and over in your head. I know sometimes I'm having problems sleeping during this time. But I wonder if we just need to strengthen our trust in God, so that, like Jesus, we can sleep in the middle of a storm, because God is going to take care of us. Just like kids. Little kids can fall asleep almost anywhere. Why? Because they're not worried about anything. They know that mom and dad will take care of anything that comes up. So they could just doze off whenever they want to. They're trusting their parents. We need to trust our Heavenly Father. So the disciples wake him up, and they say to him, "Don't you care if we drown?" How many times in our lives have we said to God, "Don't you care what I'm going through?" Because he isn't instantly answering our prayers. We take his inaction as a sign that he doesn't care, even though he actually has everything under control, everything planned out. And yet we say, "Don't you know that we're about to drown here? Don't you know how sad I am? Don't you know how upset I am? Don't you know how sick I am? Don't you know how much pain I'm in? Don't you know the bills I have to pay? Don't you know that it's hard for me to stand up and talk about Jesus? Why aren't you going to do anything about this? You don't care." Don't mistake God's inaction, or should I say God's delay of action, for the fact that he doesn't care. Jesus cared about the disciples, and we'll talk more about this passage tomorrow. So it wasn't that he didn't care. It's that he knew that God was in control. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.